Here's a question that's going to change the way you see money for the rest of this video. Two people walk into the same restaurant tonight. One of them makes $400,000 a year. Designer watch, brand new car, and somehow everyone at the table already knows exactly how much he earns because he makes sure they know. The other person? Nobody can tell what she does for a living. Plain clothes, an older car, completely quiet about money. Here's the twist. Statistically, the flashy one is far more likely to be broke within 5 years, and the quiet one might already be a millionaire. In the next 20 minutes, we're going to break down 10 real signals that separate someone with actual money from someone who simply has a big paycheck, the same signals wealth managers, behavioral economists, and people who study self-made millionaires look for. We'll talk about the psychology behind quiet wealth, why professional athletes and lottery winners go broke faster than almost anyone else, the difference between looking rich and being rich, and the small, boring, repeated habits that quietly build real financial security over decades. Before we start, quick disclaimer: this video is for education and general information only. It is not financial, investment, or legal advice, and everyone's situation is different, so always do your own research or talk to a licensed professional before making financial decisions. And if you find value in what you're about to hear, do me a favor, hit like, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe because it genuinely helps this channel keep making videos like this one. Alright, let's get into it. Let's start with a truth that surprises almost everyone. A huge salary is one of the worst predictors of long-term wealth. Look at professional athletes. Within just 2 years of retiring, a staggering 78% of former NFL players are either bankrupt or under serious financial stress, often from job loss or the fallout of divorce. Basketball isn't much better within 5 years of leaving the league. Roughly 60% of former NBA players are flat broke. These are people who earned more in a single season than most Americans earn in a lifetime. Lottery winners tell a similar story. Independent research has found that winners of six-figure prizes go bankrupt at roughly twice the rate of the average person. Behavioral economists have a name for why this happens. It's called present bias. Around 70% of people, when handed a sudden windfall, are wired to spend it now instead of protecting it for later. So here's the uncomfortable truth this entire video is built on. Income is what lands in your account. Wealth is what's left after everything else is done. A huge salary can create the appearance of wealth, but appearance and reality are two completely different things. So what actually separates real money from a big number on a paycheck? Let's go through the 10 signs, starting with the one almost nobody notices. Sign number 1. They don't talk about money, they let it work in silence. In 2026, one of the clearest tells of real wealth isn't what someone says, it's what they don't say. There's a cultural shift happening right now called quiet luxury or stealth wealth. It started as a fashion trend. No logos, no flash, but it's evolved into something deeper, an entire identity. People with real money have stopped performing wealth for an audience. The clothes fit perfectly not because of a designer tag, but because of the fabric and the tailoring. The car has no badge you'd recognize. Here's the psychology behind it. Looking rich requires an audience. It needs someone to notice and validate it. Being rich requires nothing from anyone. Financial experts who work with actual high net worth clients say this constantly. The people who talk the least about their money are usually the ones who have the most of it. Real money doesn't need permission to exist. It just quietly compounds in the background. Sign number 2. Their money works while they sleep. Here's a phrase every wealthy person understands on a gut level: decoupling income from labor. Most people trade hours for dollars. Work 8 hours, get paid for 8 hours, stop working, and the income stops too. That's not wealth, that's a very well-paid treadmill. Real money comes from a completely different equation: assets like dividend-paying stocks, rental real estate, or ownership stakes in businesses that generate income whether the owner is working, sleeping, or on the other side of the planet. There's an old but brutally accurate quote from Robert Kiyosaki that captures this perfectly: the poor and the middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. And the data backs this up. When someone's passive income starts to exceed their active income from a job, that's the real turning point, the line between making a good living and building actual wealth. Interestingly, recent surveys show that a majority of people are now chasing some kind of side income, but only a small fraction ever earn anything meaningful from it, because most people invest almost no time or systems into it. Someone earning $200,000 a year purely from a salary is often in a more fragile position than someone earning a modest income where a real chunk of it comes from investments that never stop paying. If you ever want a fast way to spot real money in someone's life, ask this one question: if they stopped working tomorrow, would the income stop too? For someone with real wealth, the answer is almost always no. Sign number 3. Their net worth tells a different story than their lifestyle. This might be the single most important distinction in this entire video: the difference between the upper class and the wealthy. Financial advisors make a sharp distinction here. Someone can be a high earner and still look financially comfortable on the surface: nice house, nice car, nice vacations, while carrying enormous debt behind the scenes that quietly wipes out their real net worth. Wealth managers describe it exactly like this: pull back the curtain, and a mountain of debt can shrink a six-figure income down to almost nothing. Real numbers help put this in perspective. In the United States, the median household net worth sits at roughly $192,000, while the average is over $1 million. A gap caused almost entirely by wealth concentrated at the very top. By age, the typical net worth for someone under 35 is only about $39,000. By retirement age, that median climbs to around $410,000. So here's the real test: it's not how much someone makes. It's what would be left if the income stopped tomorrow and every debt had to be paid off today. That number, the one hiding behind the lifestyle, is the only number that actually matters. Sign number 4. They don't chase hypotheticals, they think in decades. Psychologists call this delayed gratification, and it might be the single strongest personality trait linked to long-term financial success. People with real money aren't impulsively buying things they can't afford, and they're not chasing the newest trend the moment it appears. They think in decades, not weekends. They'd rather put money into something that appreciates in value than something that depreciates the second it leaves the store. This mindset even shows up in how they talk. Financial writers who study self-made wealth have noticed something interesting: genuinely wealthy people rarely speak about the future in vague terms like maybe someday or one day. Instead, they talk in specifics, with dates, numbers, and plans, because for them the future isn't a dream, it's a project already in motion. That single mental shift, repeated thousands of times over a lifetime, is often the real difference between two people who started with the exact same salary. Sign number 5. They buy time, not things. Here's a sign almost nobody talks about, and it might be the most powerful one on this entire list. Wealthy people spend money to buy back their time, not to buy more stuff. Wealth advisors describe it like this: some people would rather spend $100,000 to reclaim 500 hours of their year through outsourcing, delegation, or automation than spend that same $100,000 on something that just sits in a driveway losing value. For them, a successful day isn't measured by how much money came in. It's measured by how much of that day was actually theirs. This connects to something even deeper: the ability to simply walk away. One wealth expert put it perfectly: a high salary paired with a high-cost lifestyle usually feels like running on a treadmill. You're only upper class for as long as you keep running. Real wealth is the ability to stop running whenever you choose. That's the real luxury. Not the car, not the house, the freedom to decide, on any given Tuesday, exactly where your next hour goes. Sign number 6. They buy fewer things, but better ones. Real wealth rarely shows up as more. It shows up as better, and less often. People with real financial stability tend to prioritize quality over quantity. One well-made jacket that lasts 15 years beats 5 cheap ones that fall apart in a single season. It's not about buying the most expensive version of everything. It's about understanding true value, high-quality items, save money over the long run, reduce clutter, and hold up when everything else has already been thrown away. This is where the quiet luxury aesthetic and financial psychology actually meet. Style experts describe it as substance over performance, craftsmanship and fit over branding and logos. But underneath the fashion trend is a financial principle that's been true for generations: intentional spending. Wealthy people don't impulse buy something just because it's on sale. Every purchase is a small, deliberate decision, not a reaction. Multiply that mindset by thousands of purchases over a lifetime, and you get 2 very different outcomes from 2 people who might have started with the exact same income. Sign number 7. Their house looks modest, but the location isn't. Here's a sign that trips up almost everyone: you don't need a mansion to be sitting on serious wealth. Many people with hidden wealth live in completely ordinary-looking houses in extraordinary locations, close to top schools, low crime, walkable to good jobs and infrastructure. That location itself is doing the heavy lifting. Real estate in these areas quietly, steadily appreciates for decades, without ever needing a 5,000-square-foot house to prove a point. Meanwhile, the giant house in the flashy neighborhood, the one built specifically to impress, often comes with a giant mortgage, a giant property tax bill, and a giant reason to keep earning at full speed just to keep the lights on. That's not wealth, that's a beautifully decorated financial obligation. The people playing the long game understand something simple: a house is a place to live. An appreciating asset in the right location is a wealth strategy, and the best version is when those 2 things happen to be the exact same building, and nobody driving past would ever guess it. Sign number 8. They never stop learning. This one is less visible than money, but arguably more important than all the others combined: an ongoing, almost restless commitment to learning. Wealthy people don't treat education as something that ends the day they leave school. It becomes a lifelong habit. And here's the powerful part: that knowledge compounds exactly the same way interest does. Every book, every mentor, every hard lesson from a bad investment adds up over decades into something that looks, from the outside, like good luck. There's a well-known idea from Warren Buffett here: the difference between successful people and truly successful people is that the truly successful ones say no to almost everything. That single skill, protecting your focus the same way you'd protect your savings account, is itself a form of curiosity and discipline working together. Curiosity isn't just a personality trait for these people. It's a financial strategy that quietly compounds in the background of their entire life. Sign number 9. They guard their time and energy like an asset. People with real money treat their time and their attention as seriously as they treat their bank account, because functionally, it is their bank account. They're not running from one obligation to the next, saying yes to every invitation, every favor, every quick call. They understand something most people never fully learn: saying yes to everything dilutes focus. And focus is where all real growth actually happens. Every hour handed away carelessly is an hour that can't be reinvested into the things that actually move the needle: health, relationships, decisions, and deep work. This is why so many wealthy people seem almost boring from the outside. No chaos, no overflowing calendar, just a small, fiercely protected block of time, used the same way, every single day, for years. It isn't glamorous, but compounded over a decade, that discipline is worth more than almost any salary increase could ever be. And finally, sign number 10. The one that ties every other sign together they give without needing anyone to see it. Real wealth often reveals itself through generosity that expects nothing in return: supporting a cause, quietly helping a struggling family member, funding something in the community without ever putting their name on a plaque. Not because it's required, but because security breeds generosity. And someone who genuinely isn't worried about their own financial future has room left over to think about someone else's. This is the final, quiet proof of everything we've talked about tonight. Someone chasing the appearance of wealth needs every dollar to work for their own image. Someone who has actually built wealth has dollars left over and the emotional security to spend on someone else, asking for nothing back. That's not just a financial habit, that's what real money, built the right way, eventually becomes. So let's go back to that restaurant from the beginning of this video. The man in the flashy suit, the woman in the plain gray sweater. By now, you already know why that scene is deceiving. A big salary can buy the appearance of wealth in a single afternoon: a car, a watch, a table at the right restaurant. But real money isn't a purchase, it's a pattern. It's dozens of small, unglamorous decisions, repeated quietly for years, that nobody outside that person's bank statement will ever actually see. None of the 10 signs in this video require a 6-figure salary to start. They require patience, discipline, and a willingness to be quietly unimpressive for a very long time, while the compounding does the real work in the background. So here's the only question that actually matters out of these 10 signs. How many are already part of your life? And which one are you going to start building this month? One more time. Quick reminder, everything in this video is general information, not personalized financial advice. So please talk to a qualified professional before making any big money decisions of your own. If this video shifted the way you think about money, that's genuinely the whole point of this channel. So please take 2 seconds and like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe if you haven't already, because it really does help this channel grow. Next week, we're breaking down exactly how the wealthy structure their assets to legally pay a fraction of the taxes everyone else pays. You will not want to miss that one. See you in the next video.